such a rainy, wet day. I kind of looked out this morning and was wondering whether that's going to dampen things, but it looks like we've got a good group already. So this is kind of our Monday founder focus session. So for those of you that have come on Fridays or previously have been in the space, Fridays we tend to have a nice AI-focused technology session where we've got lots of really good examples of things that are being built in the community. And on Mondays we turn the attention towards founding. So there's a lot of people who are now building, especially now that AI is enabling us all to get going faster. And so we've kind of taken the opportunity to focus more on the business side and to create a room where we can start talking about some of the realities that come with being able to build things. So, before we get going, we'd like to start off with a little bit of a round of the room. So I'll pass the microphone around, just to get to know everyone who's here today. Just share who you are, what you're working on, and any questions that you've brought along with you. So let me start here.
Hello everyone, my name is EK. I've been attending the Friday section a few times before, but it's my first Monday section. And so I'm not really clear about what's going on. Of course, you need a great introduction. So, by just attending and spending some time, I hope I can learn to understand what's going on here. About my product, I'm working on some Chinese learning educational app. Not really an app, web services, but it's quite in the fuzzy stage right now. So yeah, that's where I am.
I'm Ezekiel, currently building AI for manufacturers, but also helping individuals build their second brains, helping them better manage their lives and also live together with AI.
Everyone, I'm Aaron. I am a marketer by trade and copywriter, but right now I'm creating a science-backed personality test.
Hi everyone, I'm Joshua. I am a IP tech data privacy cybersecurity lawyer by training. I'm the product, so I'm building the AI native platform that will help supercharge my product and be able to let me bring my offering to scale up SMEs at a more affordable price point than what is currently in the market, because lawyers only just charge by hour.
Hi, I'm Julie. I am working with a startup based in the US, and we're creating cognitive digital twins. So it's essentially a digital twin built from your cognition. So it's interesting, and yeah, glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Quincy. I'm a financial advisor, and I'm working on AI workflow for financial advisors. So currently, I'm already built a system where I will use my WhatsApp to ask my agents to do work for me, like emails, my clients, and even set up documents in PDF for my system. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shami. I'm building a repeatability tool for work. So it's basically a matchmaking platform for freelancers and small businesses.
Michael, are you joining us today?
Oh yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Michael. I'm the founder of SQ Collective, so I run this space. But I'm always on the organizer side. I don't get to learn, so today I'm just gonna sit down here. But on the note of this, we are launching a couple of masterclasses for legal professionals and insurance agents. So hopefully we can have a chat later. And then I think end of this month we're gonna get a couple of private practice guys, get together, lawyers, to learn how to use AI, and also discuss some of the trends that are developing in the market. And this Friday there's gonna be a lawyer who's gonna introduce him. Okay. Oversold.
Nicely done. Or do we? Okay, welcome. We've got a very diverse room today, so welcome. So let's frame a little bit. We are now 6 sessions in, believe it or not. I can't believe I've managed to go through 6 sessions, so thank you, Michael, for the questions. So where have we been? Over these 6 sessions, we've been really diving into looking underneath your business and what's the engine that's actually driving it. Not what are you doing specifically, but what are the different elements that's driving your business, and the pieces that are kind of key to being able to create something that turns continually, so that you don't just have a product that you sell once, you actually have a business that continues to function, and it grows and it learns and adapts. So over the last couple of weeks, we've looked at customer, we've looked at scope, we've looked at economics, and we're now landing on repeatability. This is kind of closing the loop, not to keep using the same metaphor, on how that engine continues to turn. And so the way I would like to kind of structure the conversation today is that I'm not going to give you a sales conversation. We're not going to talk about necessarily selling. What we're going to talk about is how you take what you are learning to update your engine as you keep going through your sales, your losses, and your delivery. So let's think about this in terms of what are the questions that we're really asking. As we go through the process, we've found our customer, we've built maybe an MVP or early set of features, we have started pricing it, people are starting to pay. So what are we now looking to answer? We're looking at how does that behavior feed into how we're updating our customer, our scope, and our economic model. And I'd like to look at this from 2 lenses. The first lens is coming from your demand. Why did people choose you? Or, importantly, why did they not choose you? And then secondly, from delivery, how do we deliver the same thing without having to reinvent the wheel each time? So let's zoom in. 2 very big questions. We often only answer one of them. And I want to start with a couple of quick examples. So, interestingly enough, as I was putting this together, I had 2 conversations in the same week which were perfect. So we're just going to take a quick look, and I'd like you to just pay attention to how these conversations played out. Catches your attention. What are you spotting in here? A couple of people.
Based on them wanting to use credit-based instead of subscription, they might not see it as a product that they will use for long term. They will only use it for short term. Probably.
Maybe. Any other thoughts?
The high retention and at the same time the pivoting from the niche that we didn't initially target.
There's a change of direction in there, right? Let's look at another conversation.
much information to make any decisions or updates based on.
Not a lot there at all, is there? Any other thoughts?
By contrast, the left side has metrics, the right side doesn't have.
This person thought they had a go-to-market problem. They were blaming their channel. This person realized that they were getting a lot of intelligence that made them have different conversations. They were interpreting their signals very differently. So when we think about what demand is really telling us, the key question is always why. Why are people behaving in the way that they're behaving? And what does that tell you about what you're delivering and what's working and what's not working? And so we've got two sides. Why did someone choose your solution? And there's a lot of depth in here. What was it that unlocked that decision? Where did their reason for engaging in the first place come from? And was that even the reason that they converted in the end? How strong is that commitment? For a B2C app, for example, the level of commitment may be very different to a B2B. And importantly, what changed in their world after they made that decision? Because picking up a solution is one thing. Working and living and using it provides very different information on top. But that's the easy question to ask. The question that we don't often see asked a lot is why did they not choose us? And why is that important? Because it tells us a lot about what didn't work. What was it that held them back? Was it scope? Was it a particular situation that person was in at the time? Timing? Maybe something else? Was there a key decision moment? If they clearly had started to engage but then changed their mind? What was it that tipped that balance? Did they choose something else? Or did they stay where they are? Really important. Or did they choose you and then eventually leave? And so you can see, both sides of these give you a lot of very important information. Most of the time when we are selling and we're talking about the things that we've learned, we learn from the right-hand side. Everyone's kind of talking about what went well, what landed, but we also have this left-hand column of why people didn't choose us. And this is the one area that balances and helps to kind of keep us on course. And so when we're asking these questions, we're not trying to find individual things that we need to go do. We're not looking for the ways that we react. We're looking for the learnings that we need to take from those. And how we then compound those into updating our understanding of our customer. Maybe it refines it, maybe it broadens it. The scope that we're pushing out, whether it's working, whether it lands with the people that we are trying to sell to, and then obviously whether our whole economic model works. Now, if you've been in this room before, you know that I don't like to sit here and talk. So we're going to have a little bit of an exercise. So I hope you brought pads and pens and some energy, and maybe coffee. So let's get in a little bit of time together. And I'm going to ask you guys to get into pairs. So find another person in the room. And we're going to set this up as an interview format. So one person's going to be interviewing the other. And between the two of you, I'd like one of you to decide who's going to be interviewing for wins and who's going to be interviewing for losses. Don't shake your head at that. If you haven't solved something yet, that's okay. Imagine yourself in a situation, maybe you being on that buying side. You've made a decision. But what I'd like you to do, and this is how we'll structure, is first person to go, just very quickly summarize what your solution is and what the benefits are to the person that you're talking to. And then the second person, so interviewer, your job is to talk to your partner and work through asking questions that help understand and draw out what was the buying intention in that moment. What actions did the buyer take, whether they chose in or chose out? And what was the consequence of that decision? What changed in their world, or what didn't change in their world, or what stayed the same? And what I'd like you to spend time paying attention to as you're talking and as you're discussing is look for places where you can see the difference between knowing something and assuming something. Where does your partner know because they've spoken, because they've talked to the other person on the side of that table? And where are they assuming the behaviors happen? What are they practicing? Make sense? Okay, we'll set 5 minutes up, get some time in your groups, then we'll swap over, and then we'll come back and do a little bit of reflection together.
What makes you me what's the important one, what's the catch point, what's the companies that so just catch your
So let's unpack it a little bit. Who'd like to just kind of share a little bit about their conversations? What was good? What was interesting? What surprised you as you were talking? Let's have some volunteers.
So in my group, both of us, we are at the idea stage, so we haven't really put it up in the market yet. We didn't really go through the testing yet. So everything is basically assumption at this point. But what really surprises is that, of course, always when you share your idea with your peers, then always they bring up the new perspective. So for me, my product is about like a team share assistant. So I'm a foreigner, and my son always brings like weekly team share list. And then as a foreign mother, it's really difficult for me to understand what those characters are first of all, and then how to write it, what is the right stroke order, and how to pronunciate it. And I cannot really help him to do the pre-test because my pronunciation is not accurate. So I'm making that app, and actually I always thought that my my users are just parents and kids, but they brought up the really great point that actually it can be the teachers as well. So because actually inputting the teacher list every time is quite tedious also. So if we can engage with the school or teachers, and they provide the information, then it can be also one less hurdle for the parents. So yeah, that's my gist of it.
Perfect, thank you for sharing. Would you like to give the other half of the conversation?
Okay, this is like extremely raw because I just built this morning when I couldn't sleep. Okay, so the quick summary is this is an ad for many parents who are going on like holiday or like just want to do something fun on the day out. So I'm trained as a play therapist. These things are very normal to me. And I hear my friends who are going on these trips and they're really stressed sometimes with just the logistics. So the idea is an app that can help you generate ideas for play in the day-to-day stuff and on travel. So you can like take a picture of an environment and then you get like a multidisciplinary team in your pocket. You get input from like a play therapist, a speech therapist, or occupational therapist, etc. So they generate ideas from that natural setting and suggest some fun stuff that you can do with the kid. Yeah, and then you compile and then you can print it into a photo book in the end. So that was the product. The assumption that we surfaced was it was a topic that came up, not quite an assumption, but it got me to clarify. So someone suggested, it would be interesting if you put an assessment element to it. At the end, you can generate something that tells you something about a child. But when I heard that, I am very clear that I do not want an assessment element because the point is to be present with the child and don't turn this into an assessment tool. So I think that conversation helped me to be clear that this is a very there's an intention behind that to allow and assist high mental load parents to do something fun. So it becomes assessment, it meets the purpose. So yeah, that was an interesting one.
So that raises an interesting question.
Yes.
Which is, how would you get feedback there?
From the pilot testers, have not thought about that. Yeah, I suppose on the spot is they'll try it and let me know how the input sounds like from the different perspectives. Which ones are clear, which ones are too hard, too I can just Google it. Yeah, what adds value. There was another good assumption which is people already get a lot of ideas. They scroll, social media, they save. So that was a good assumption. People already do it. It might be extra step to use an app for something like that. Yeah. But I guess as I pilot it will be what is its unique selling point? Does it hit the sweet spot? Yeah. Any ideas? Happy?
Any other ideas for
experts who can then sign off on those 5 perspectives, then the USP will be marketing it as something which has been blessed by these experts. Because the problem with social media nowadays is that there's a lot of noise. I think recently you've seen Queen of Starship, SpaceX, there was how some Chinese engineer now has kill capability on the SpaceX rocket. And it was also recently reported that was debunked. Some of it is true. She does work in SpaceX, but she's not the one with the sole, X capability. But that just shows how social media is creating a lot of noise such that I don't really know whether it's by an actual therapist. So if you can put a name to the face to the app, that's your USP. At least from my perspective.
And the idea is that it has to be signed off by proper professionals, so like have a clinical team behind it. Yeah. But whether people will put the names behind it is another thing. But for now, just to my friends, I think this is a good advice.
And people are actually paying for your name, right? It's just an extension. You don't need to be tied to providing trading your hours for your service.
Yeah. And not all children need a speech therapist, but they would benefit from a speech therapist.
You're setting the parents, not the children.
But I mean, the children will benefit. I mean, for me, that's my, that's one of the main benefits, that it scales down to the person. But that's a good point. I think people say that, people say that.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, both of you. Any other parents would like to do some sharing?
Okay, so I was talking with Shereen. So Shereen, you shared with me about her stuff, which is marketing, matchmaking. So the thing is, I felt that there's a communication gap between transferring of what's in your head to another party. Because Shereen was trying to tell me she's going to matchmake a subscription on humans, right? Okay, because I couldn't get that. Maybe like let her explain this part and I'll explain the part as well.
No, I was just, the subscription part was something I brought up towards the end of the conversation, because what the platform does is basically matchmaking freelancers to businesses, right? And how this entire model works is based off a subscription model, but it's not subscribing to the platform. It's more of the business subscribing to the freelancer directly. Yeah, so that was the thing I was trying to explain. But then I think he didn't understand the concept of like a subscription model towards another human. Yeah.
There's a flip of fiber flip.
Something like that.
And for myself, because the way I build my own things is using a WhatsApp as an opener to my system. So I use it for emails, content creation, for basically WhatsApp my client, get PDF, brainstorm right through this WhatsApp. So Shereen actually brought up a good point that my product is like an open blog. So the thing is, how do I change it and tell them that I'm not using open blog? Because open blog and my user will not be smart enough, don't say that's smart, but should I say, are they open themselves to the idea of using open blog? Because why I design my own product is because I'm so stuck in WhatsApp. I don't want to change out of my WhatsApp to reach out to a computer to find out what's email, what is inside my other system, what other information. That was why I chose WhatsApp. Yeah. So I need to rethink on how this is different from using open blog to tell other people.
So on the topic of feedback, how many people have both of you spoken to so far?
Like based on
Yeah, customer, potential customer.
For me personally, we launched last year, 1st July. So when we first launched, I think within the first 3 months, we got about 100 to 200 people signing up and basically creating a profile and also going through like the entire experience. So we then. Yeah, but ever since then, we have paused our operations because the system couldn't handle the volume that was coming in. So now we're working on a version 2 of the product. Yeah, so I think with regards to feedback, about 100 to 200 plus.
I'm building it for my own self, so I haven't really asked for feedback. So, and there's still a lot of bugs here and there, and I'm still building a lot of loops to make the system smarter. So, yeah.
If you ever see us on a Friday, you'll catch us in the corner and me prodding him or showing people his tool. All right, thank you. Any other points that you guys wanted to share around or that you kind of noticed in the conversation? No? Okay. Okay. So when we're thinking about demand, the key thing that you want to be remembering is that you can now gain users pretty easily, especially if you're in a B2C dynamic. Picking up users is super easy, or easier than it has ever been. But that doesn't mean that we know why they chose you, or why they didn't. And so as you're thinking about how you engage with your user community, how you engage with your prospective community, you want to be putting some time aside for yourself to be asking those questions of why did they choose me or why did they not choose me. Those are going to help you to narrow in on those customer segments. They're going to give you feedback on potentially where you have got scope differences, areas that you can refine, things that you maybe should or shouldn't be doing. And it's going to help you to continue to dial in. And these are behaviors that you want. This is not a checklist of things that you do. These are the kind of behaviors that you're going to be thinking about as you're going through having these conversations. Maybe it's setting up pilots, maybe it's looking at existing customer behavior, and making sure that you understand why. Why did they choose you or why did they not? So let's shift over then onto the delivery side. So we've spent a good amount of time talking about our customers and our pipeline. Very, very early on, delivery is largely on us. And we spoke about this quite a bit in our last session on economics. One of the hidden costs very early on is our own time as we're building. So I'm going to play you another conversation that happened a couple of weeks ago. And I'd like you just to reflect on how this one played out. I should have a voiceover. Real conversation. What are you noticing from that exchange? A couple of thoughts.
No direction of focus. He seems to have put the cart before the horse. He's got 5 plans ready to go, ready to do implementation, but he doesn't know how or what he's going to do for implementation. But it sounds like all of us when we're working with AI, because you can go into multiple different streams.
You can build up a lot of momentum very fast. Right?
Yes.
There's no timeline to delegation.
Yeah. I think we're kind of all circling the same thing. He's moving very fast and he's maybe not quite caught up to where he is in reality. So here's what tends to happen, and you'll probably feel this in different ways. You're absorbing things. You're developing, you're doing marketing, you're doing finance, you're deciding whether you pay yourself, you are talking to customers, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these things are good or bad. But I'm going to suggest a way of looking at them, which is this. One group of things you're absorbing because you are learning from them. And that might look like, and I'm just choosing some ideas off the top of my head, maybe you're doing implementations yourself. Because right now, that is going to tell you more about how your customer behaves than any other conversation you can have. Potentially, you are most likely selling yourself incredibly valuable early on. Maybe you are building your customizations yourself. You're doing that for every new customer that comes on board. But there's also the other side. And I used the word earlier, so thank you very much for the opportunity. You're absorbing because you're already under movement, you're under momentum. And these are the things that you're carrying quietly on your own, because you've already started doing them. So maybe you're covering for gaps in your solution. Potentially you are blocking out a half a day. I do this pretty badly. I have to block out a day to just do admin stuff. Maybe you're still posting manually on social media. I am. Yeah, 2, okay, we're in a good room. So there's things that we are doing that we want to keep up because they're useful and they're good for us, but they're not adding anything right now. You know, we're doing them just because we've been doing them. And importantly, if you think about the distinction between these two things, one of these is funding you as a founder. It's building up your knowledge, your awareness, your intuition. The other is taxing you. It's taking the time away. It's eating up things that you should be doing or time that you could be spending elsewhere. If you remember back to our economics conversation, this is one of those quiet areas that will never show up on your P&L. Because it's your time. And so when we think about this, it's not a good thing or a bad thing. This is about where are we able to transfer knowledge. Now, if this was 2 years ago, the next conversation would be about hiring or delegating, etc. But I think we've already kind of learned in this room that there's now multiple ways of thinking about this. One is maybe you hire a teammate. The other is that you may be finding a specialist who's really good at marketing to help you out with the project. And increasingly, there is using an LLM, using an agent to be able to operationalize things that we do repeatedly. So this gets a lot more interesting now. Because we have now got more options, but it still comes down to the same fundamentals. Can we get what we do out of our heads and into something else, whether it's another person or whether it's a system? And this doesn't need to be big, sweeping things. They're often small task level items. And that division of the things that we look at, we can separate between those things that we're learning from, that we want to be hands-on with, and those things that are just there because we're already doing them and we're under momentum. So we're going to take another 5-minute fun time. Stop grinning. And this time, I'm going to separate you guys into two half of the room. So maybe we rebalance out here a little bit. Maybe Ezekiel, do you want to jump over on the other side so that you and Aaron aren't swapping notes again? So this half of the room I'd like you to focus on learning. Okay? And as a group, just want you to brainstorm a little bit around what activities are you doing today that you are learning from. Then pick 3 of them. And for those 3 items, as a group, discuss through what do you think would tell you that you have learned enough. Okay? For this side of the room, we're going to talk about momentum. So, same setup. Very quickly, 30 seconds. Brainstorm, what activities are you currently doing out of habit? What are you carrying on a day-to-day basis? Pick 3 of them as a group. And then we're not going to talk about how you get rid of them. We're going to talk about what are the things that you need to do to untangle. What needs to be true so that you can put something down? What are the prereqs? And think about that as a group, and then we'll come back together and let's share some insights on what that surfaced in the discussions. So, any questions? Music has gone back up, thank you very much, Michael. 5 minutes, get together in your groups, and then we will come back again.
I think it's about the daily activity, right, that you are going to do. That's why we need to have a mental something. For me, it's quite easy because I like to I'm now working on my project, so I don't want to work on the laptop. So that's why I'm just saying what are the top 3 that you do that are you having to do on the moment you start with check the Slack. Okay, so when you check for Slack, what do you actually do about this?
Because I'm working also based in the US, it's like what has happened in the last week that we need to get this
So, that's also so can you tell me about Slack?
It's just like a team.
So it's a communication device. So you check for me. So what about what's the things that you need or habits you pass? Research but the thing is don't finish in it's also but what if it's also things we don't show that's not nice. So what are the steps for research on this? So before they very I will actually right now there are so for me the main thing is actually choosing what it's the pitch. Okay, now is maybe much better. Not much better. Sometimes better. That's not that we already understand a bit better other than I like it to be a question, but it's less accessible life. There's no point having more fun days in the end.
This is what I do last time.
So I mean, it's a quite consistent story. So there's one is the communication early morning. One is how to use it. And instead of leaders who send how to use it instead of single chats whereby it means that we calculate that afterwards so that we can build a system that can
So I have an idea. We're pretty good and I've been having my LinkedIn for what contacts, like second and closer contacts. And my cousin has his own startup and is giving me some advice about some of these tools that you can make that will like literally do that. But no, it's not quite. It's something called death something. I'm sure
Are you using like
no, I'm not.
so are you putting all stuff?
Well, I'm not doing it. I'm not an engineer.
We are not.
Everyone's not.
Yeah.
So then how are you creating
So there, I mean, to be honest, I don't 100% know exactly what they're using. We have a situation.
Oh, okay. So we have to maintain that.
But yeah, so I guess it can just be like my, research for potential contacts and investors and maybe, like I think some of these tools will really like send a message or send connect with us or something like that. And then I feel like some of those I would want to write with characters, but so I think one of the science that we don't get.
My drafting social media post, whether it's content plan,
From the higher
we are talking about something that's so big and big that we have a lot of people and how we are actually how can I handle this and really three. So yeah, I see your point.
I see it more like approximate the brainstorming how we want to do these tasks.
People are here. No matter how much baseline, they're happy to accept some person.
I see it like because we all educated together rather than listening down. It's only when you get out.
So that's why let's say you are interested in we will not do 3, we do 1. How do we want to do this configuration so that we don't
Okay, but then I think for most people how they do it, is they have basically build a system where they just and then they do the part work and then you decide so without time to
GPT has this so depending on source, so the source will be what do we say, what are the kind of things that we're going to talk about, and what are the what I want to say. So for myself, I asked them, okay, I was going to send it on LinkedIn. I want to choose to generate so that I was able to get people to share it. So this is how I so that once you have this source, if you also ask GPT to that is very standard. You see a standard, the post will be so all will be within so instead we will start with functions. And after post, you have to decide to figure out copy it into combine it into a format which I using a formatter to link it up to and then so once we have all the systems out, then you have okay, today you post this, you post this, you post this. So this will all come down concepts. So when you have concepts come in, that is where you can actually form a shell to continue to look at the concepts. Because that is what I did for my so that's the way to make it. So right now, you go to check time also. I go past every location. So actually WhatsApp, what day? What when is the day? I see. So the functionality of your system. There is one Saturday, one to say I want to create a post with that $100 like AI. in a way that's compliant with
I think be mindful of this mental way.
How are we doing? I feel like this side of the room has reinvented ChatGPT, and this side of the room seems to be reinventing this space. Is that fair? The way that you're laughing tells me that that's true.
because there's too many regulations and so the thing is, once the smart model we will pass the message to the
I see.
yes, correct. So I don't want
and then you can
That's an easier way.
similar people, maybe together with designers or members, then you naturally meet, so you meet and you put the...
Okay, should we come back? Okay, lots of deep conversation. I can see some rabbit holes forming somewhere. So well done not going too deep. Why don't we start with Momentum Group, because you guys were getting very technical. Just for the rest of the group, just run us through a little bit. What were your discussion? What came out? And who wants to go?
Yeah, good idea.
Okay. So I think we were trying to go through a list of things that we do on a daily basis. Julie was talking about checking Slack. Aaron was talking about research. I was talking about content creation. So we're trying to figure out how we can kind of automate content creation. Aaron shared about some third-party tool which is subscription-based, and he was talking about how he automates his content creation through the use of his platform and system. He instructs it via WhatsApp and whatnot. So I was just learning and understanding, perhaps that's something that can be delegated or systemized, whether it's scheduling. So I think my biggest technical or practical takeaway was how he connects his WhatsApp to his platform to his Google Drive, and then storing all of his LinkedIn posts on an Excel sheet, which forms the basis of his repository, almost like I guess it's like a graph, right? Where not graph, but it's like a database or repository where you can then point your AI to continuing learning from that voice. Because I think very often we just use, or at least I just use AI as if it has a memory, and then I just ask it to recall, but then we know that AI doesn't do a very good job at recalling. So that's sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but that was the main takeaway for me.
Cool. Anyone else want to add in from?
I'm just saying that research is what I do a lot, but then I just say that you shouldn't automate it, because you shouldn't outsource the thinking, and that's very important.
That's an interesting thought. Is it outsourcing the thinking, or is it outsourcing the searching?
If you're just doing information, if you're searching for information, yes, you can automate it, but then the decision, the judgment should be done by yourself.
Important distinction then. Okay, good. I'm also hearing awareness. Not necessarily knowing what options are available, rather than there not being any. Is that fair? Okay, thank you. Learning group. Wow, where to go? Michael, do you want the microphone?
I was just sharing how at SQ Collective we are not doing enough of the learning. Ever since we found traction with Co-working Fridays, we've run fixed format, fixed time, fixed way of doing things. And a lot of my group members suggested useful things that I could do in addition to that can deepen our learning. Because I shared that we got to an understanding of our ideal customer profile over a longer period of time than is needed, because we were not engaging very deeply and very personally to understand why they signed on specifically or why they did not. It was me trying to hide in my ivory walls and try and do a data-driven kind of approach and observe things, which if I did not do and instead engage with people, and in fact just having that 10 minutes conversations with everyone gave us a lot of useful feedback on how we could improve. But I could have gotten to traction much earlier. And it was not as scary as I thought it was, because when I was sharing that, I was like, oh shit, the negative feedback is gonna come in, it's all in the mind. Yeah, I'm still doing content posting myself. Could be automated, it should be automated to some extent. I'm still building custom tooling on AI myself, which I think has to sort of tone down gradually, and for me to focus on customers and actual planning for events and things like that. Yeah, so that's mine.
Thank you. Any other conversations that were interesting in this group? Or did you spend the entire time talking about space design? Space SQ.
Okay, I'll say something.
Please do.
Just to take the pressure off. No, I really appreciate the openness. For me, it was something that came as we were discussing. We didn't get to share, but it was something that organically came out as I'm programming. So I would I'm totally not technical. I'm trained in social work, so this is like brand new. Yeah, so I'm doing it. Then I'm like, oh, this is a nice lesson. All right. Oh, there's like 4 or 5. I'm like, okay, can you start packing lessons for me and like naming it? So just a running repository of lessons which I can just file, and then oh, this lesson is linked to that. But I don't need to remember. This reminds me of that. Okay, build on, and then. Now, as I think about this, I need to look back. I have 20 now, which is more than enough. So I need to go back and see which one have I learned, which one I've passed, which one I can farm it out to something else, and then not let it roll over into momentum. So it was very timely, yeah, because it's, yeah. So thank you.
Learning stuff is addictive.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a very strong learning parts, which need to ease back.
Perfect. Thank you very much. It's a lot of really good conversation. I feel this one could like keep going in these groups. So if you guys want to carry on afterwards, please feel free. So good stuff. The key thing here and to take away is, look, at some point you're going to delegate something. And I know myself that when it's something I care about, it's really hard to let go, even if it's just letting an AI do it because it's repeatable. But remember, it's not a one-way street. You can pick something back up again when it's time to iterate and learn more. So don't think of delegation as a decision you make and it's now over and done and it's this big scary thing. It's going to be something that you can do now and that you can then take back when you're ready and when it's appropriate to learn something. So let's start wrapping up then. I want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked a lot today about different sides, winning and losing, demand and delivery, and learning and momentum. And there's a lot of signal that comes from this. You're learning lots of things, you're getting lots of input from all of these elements. But there's a lot of asymmetry in how this works as well. And the one I want to call out for today is the asymmetry between winning and losing. Because winning is going to land fast. Losing reveals itself slowly. And so this is why I want to make sure that I highlight this, because it's one of the things that we miss. When we win, we create pressure immediately. We need to go and deliver. We have to action on it now. You've got to take the moment and run with it. It's going to compress timelines that you didn't think were there to ask you to deliver. And it's going to test your ability to deliver and then to repeat that delivery again and again and again. And the more that you win, the more that compresses. But likewise, losses happen slowly, and they reveal patterns over time. You're not going to see what a loss is teaching you on the first one, or the second one, or maybe even the third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 50th. But they're going to hide repetitions. And this is where building up intuition around both of these sides becomes important. So you're testing your ability to listen, to pay attention, and maybe even to adapt your own beliefs on what's happening, which is a little confronting when you think about it. And if you're not careful, losses can be the thing that sabotage you, because they're hiding behaviors in your customers, they're hiding assumptions in your business that may end up being something that you don't want to have to deal with later on. So if you take nothing else from today, think about how you build habits that keep you anchored in what you're learning from wins, but also what losses are revealing to you. So I like to end these sessions with an own time health check, something that you guys can go away and take a look at your own time within your own context. And the question for today is, where is your engine currently resetting whenever you are winning and through those repeated losses? So where are you not currently learning and where are you not currently updating how you deliver or how you handle demand? So remember, today, you don't need a perfect engine. You just need your wins and your losses to update but not dictate your engine. Thank you for coming along. This has been a wonderful day. Feel free to spend time with the rest of your cohort here, and we shall see each other again next time. But thank you very much. Content is available on the QR code, and if you'd like to connect, please feel free. Thank you.